Hello and welcome back to Call Center Helper. My name is Xander Freeman and we are a month away from Customer Engagement Summit 2025. It is taking place October 9th in London. I'm joined by Martin Hill-Wilson, chairing the event again. Hello again, Martin.
Hi, how are you doing, Xander?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited about the event. It's great to have you on again. You're a frequent collaborator with CCH, so it's always easy when I get told, right, Martin's chairing it, let's talk to him. What are you most excited about the event this year?
Well, I suppose the summary is well, two things. One, onwards and upwards. You know, the event itself, we've graduated now away from the brewery. So for people who hated scampering up and down the stairs and finding the latest, session to be in, it's all on a single space, massive space, by the way. The biggest tent in London, it's a bit more than a tent really, is Elevation in Battersea Park. And we have a number of people coming which exceeds 2,000, which is going to be very exciting. So there's still space and room to come along if you want to do that, but we've pretty much doubled the number of speakers. I think we've got 200 speakers turning up. I'm going to be chairing the, the big sort of the big stage, but we've got six simultaneous stages which are going on. We've got contact center, we've got customer contact, we've got what else? Data analytics, experience management, marketing, loyalty, retention, growth, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very much sort of uh, a consolidation, I think. Nick would like me to talk it through as because he's run different communities and different things over the years. And this time we've just brought it all into one single mega event. It's about customer. That's the one to go to pretty much. In terms of the actual theme, I suppose it won't be a surprise, which is we're at a tipping point. We're always at a tipping point with AI. But again, let's report in, let's find out what people are actually doing across all the functional areas. You know, what's happening in the sales space, marketing space, the experience space, the engagement space, a little bit on service as well. And what are we now? 2, 3 years since Jen turned up. Agentic is on the horizon. It'll be interesting to see if anyone's got narratives or it's all future positioning on that particular point. And I'm sure there'll be a whole bunch of people that will be quite deliberately anti that and saying, let's just talk about people, let's talk about relationships, let's talk about the state of connecting with other human beings. So the mere fact that there's so much choice is fantastic. It's dead easy to get to. I've been there lots and lots and lots. I actually attended the employee version of it a couple of months ago, which is its sister version, if you want, and it was great. It was really huge. It was dead easy to, get around. And there's some excellent speakers as usual. And indeed, the audience tends to turn up year on year. So again, it's got an established vibe to it. And if it's the one thing you do in the year, definitely, definitely, definitely come along for that. I think it's going to be a really interesting check-in to find out actually what the state of affairs are in terms of customer engagement. So that would be my little soapbox on the event.
Yeah, but I think you're right though, and I think like you and I have talked about it in the past. When you look at the six different breakout stages there, I think something like that makes this a little bit unique in this space. Really, it's not just focusing down on one specific area. It takes a sort of complete picture view of, like you say, what you and I have termed customer contact before. There's so many different components of it, and having an event like this with that many people in one space, that many different breakout groups, there's so much to get involved in. I think if you're really looking to sort of take, and I always think, what would I be wanting to get out of an event like this if I'm a professional in this sort of customer contact space? This is the exact kind of event I would want to go to because there's so many different bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You're not just pigeonholing yourself into one specific element. There's so much to take on board if you're willing to do it.
Well, I think that's a really well made point. So about 20% of the audience is definitely outside the normal, if you want experience service domain, coming in from sales, coming in from marketing, coming in from analytics and stuff. And if there is one message really that I suppose we're going to be increasingly talk about is if AI is driving our future, then data is needed to drive the AI future. Um, Connectivity amongst those silos is essential.
Mm.
A uniform view, end-to-end management, all of those bigger themes. And practically that starts by actually meeting people from different zones,
Yeah.
meeting people from different functional areas, getting familiar what their agenda is. And there's no better way of doing that than face to face. So again, there's a great opportunity to step outside of the narrative that you're quite accustomed to and
Mm.
deeply expert in, and actually hear it from another point of view. Find out what's common, also find out what's distinct and different. And therein, I think, lies opportunity, because quite often, for some people, what they've done maybe for years could well be highly innovative from your perspective. And that's one of the nuggets you can take back home to your team.
Well, we talk so much about how to sort of elevate your, and let's bring it back specific to contact centers here, since you're talking to us. We talk so much about breaking out silos and trying to turn the contact center into an insight hub. There, the
Yep.
importance of
Yep.
data. So, an event like this is such a good opportunity to break down those silos. Like you just say, is we talk about how do you do these things. This is a great opportunity to do that thing.
Yeah.
So it's it's a one day event. It's so compact, but there's so much to take away from it. I think it's like you say, it's
And
uniquely.
actually, I've chaired the event and all the variations of the event for a good number of years now. And I have to say, if I reflect on the privilege of doing that, I mean, my comfort zone is call centers and customer contact. So sometimes I've been sitting in with marketeers and branding and stuff, and the only thing I've had really is a little bit of context for myself and knowledge, but mainly the willingness to listen, and then strike up a conversation with somebody much more experienced in topics that I don't necessarily know a great deal about. But over the years, I've got myself educated from that. And it's opened up my perspective, and it's allowed me to join the dots in terms of, the end-to-end journey, which is big picture, breaks down into some very detailed discussions at various stages of that journey. And so one thing I would say to, a contact center community is, if you're going to go to the event, don't just sit on the contact center stage, your comfort zone. Spend a few times picking topics that you don't know anything about, but actually you half wanted to learn about, because there will be somebody talking about them. And it's a great opportunity, because you probably wouldn't go to a branding event. You probably wouldn't go to, deep data analytics necessarily, but there's an opportunity to pick up and broaden your foundation understanding, which, as people know, I am a big fan of.
And I think that's where it all comes back to the main stage, right? Ultimately, that's a great hub to take everything away from. You're obviously opening the event there, talking about customer-centric transformation, which opens out so nicely into the wider six stages as well.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Well, again, I'm getting up to speed with my own agenda for the day. I tend to do that quite close to the event. But generally, the big stage has got whatever research is going to be previewed. And that's where we normally kick the day off with some strategic insight. Where have we got to? What are the big themes? What are customers talking about? What are the pain points? What do we succeed at?
Mm.
What's changed in the environment? And I think that's always a great scene setter. And that, as you say, tends to kick off the day. And then we have a mix of presentations, which is fun, but I also really enjoy the fireside chat.
Yeah.
Um, and again, they go down very well, because quite often we have an opportunity not just to talk about the brand the person belongs to, but also to delve into a little bit about who they are and what they've been up to. And I certainly know from some of the research that I've done with Customer Engage that audience welcomes the opportunity to hear from people how they've built the career that they've got, and where they've got to, and what some of the decisions they've made there. So again, it's a slightly different part of the overall program, but it feeds your insight into your own career management as much as it feeds your knowledge about a topic. And normally, by the way, our research tells us this: people go along to these events because they've got a problem to fix.
Mm.
Normally a single major problem in a major program that they're doing, and they're looking for people. So one of the interesting points about the program is using things like the app, using things like the networking, because let's face it, with 2,000 people, there will be somebody there probably who's got an answer to your question. The issue is, how do you create the serendipity to bump into them in a queue, or
Mm.
how do you make sure that you ask the question that's then picked up by somebody, or the speakers picked up by somebody, so you can then walk away with that. And I do know that Nick and his team has been certainly helping on that by recording sessions,
Mm.
making those available. So indeed, you can take the nuggets back home with you afterwards, because that's really where the value of these events sits, which is your ability to say, here's something I've heard,
Mm.
here's some people that have done it, let's pursue that, and let's see what we can do out of that for our particular need. And that's really why people come to these events.
No, I completely agree. I think you're right. It's a combination of education, networking, and again, like you say, as much as we could talk about doubling the quantity of speakers, ultimately a knock-on effect of that is, especially if you're using the app in the right way,
Yeah.
Such a depth of knowledge there, not only at the sort of highest level or from a speaker perspective, but also all throughout the spectrum of careers. There, with that many people, there will be someone that you can learn from and take away something that justifies the entire journey. So, Martin,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me today. You will obviously be there on the 9th, as will I. If you want to see both myself and Martin there, as well as everything else we've just talked about, you can register in the link below.